This is one of the most perplexing cases to come out of the Philippines, with its various twists, turns, and divided public opinion. Though it's now considered settled, the story still captivates many. What do you think? It was a typical Monday morning in Siaman Barangay, Cebu City. The day started like any other, filled with the usual hustle of morning commuters. But around 7 a.m., something unusual caught the attention of several witnesses. A large discarded carton box lying conspicuously along the roadside. A security guard from a nearby private subdivision spotted the box. At first, he dismissed it, assuming it had simply fallen off a courier or delivery van. But others passing by noticed a foul odor emanating from the box, with flies swarming around it. Despite this unsettling sight, no one intervened. The box remained there, an ominous presence that hinted at something sinister lurking beneath the surface of an otherwise ordinary day. Fast forward to 1 p.m., a street sweeper on duty decided to move the box away from the road. However, it was too heavy for him to carry alone. Seeking help, he approached the local barangay tanads, or the village peacekeepers. As they attempted to lift the box, its flap suddenly opened, and to their horror, an arm popped out. The street sweeper and the tanad rushed to the barangay hall, their minds racing with what they had just seen. Captain Ringo Bacana immediately relayed the alarming discovery to the Labangan police station. The police arrived at the scene and confirmed everyone's worst fear. The box contained a dead body. What had been mistaken for discarded garbage was, in fact, the remains of a woman. By 2 p.m., investigators were meticulously examining the scene. The body was in a gruesome state. The woman had her arms and legs tied with aluminum cables and was wrapped in a white blanket. Her face appeared to have been smashed and burnt off, possibly with cables. Bruises covered various parts of her body, although these could have been postmortem changes. Despite the meticulous examination, her identity remained a mystery. All they could ascertain was she had dyed blonde hair, was wearing a black sweater and black shorts, and her nails were manicured. These details suggested she was possibly not a local resident of Tisa but a visitor. Who was this woman? How did she end up here, discarded like trash? These were the questions haunting the investigators as they began piecing together the tragic puzzle. The day after the gruesome discovery, on July 18, 2023, a breakthrough in the case emerged. Authorities matched the description of the unidentified woman to a recently filed missing persons report. The victim was suspected to be Rhea Tocmo, a 19-year-old female from Panabo City in Davao del Norte. Rya had been staying in Mandaue City, having flown into Cebu on June 11th seeking employment opportunities. Some sources claim she arrived on June 14th, but regardless of the exact date, she had been in Cebu for over a month. Investigators reached out to Rhea's friends and family for identification. They confirmed their worst fears. The body was indeed Rya. Her favorite black shorts and a distinctive necklace she always wore were unmistakable. Adding to the certainty, the relatives recognized the clothes Rya was last seen wearing. They also noted that her smartphone and wallet were missing. In an effort to retrace her steps, police began gathering CCTV footage from areas where Rya was last seen alive, including locations in Mandaue City where she had been staying. Investigators expanded their search to include inns, suspecting that the white blanket she was wrapped in might have come from one of these establishments. Each piece of evidence brought them a step closer to understanding what happened to Rya. But first, who was she? Rhea Mae Tocmo was a 19-year-old from Davao del Norte. Her family and loved ones describe her as a kind, obedient person who always prioritized her family. Despite growing up in a broken family, Rya was known for her considerate nature and eagerness to help others. She was greatly loved by her parents and two sisters, who doted on her as the youngest in the family. Her father, Romeo Tocmo, emphasized her gentle demeanor and obedience, highlighting her dedication as a student and her determination to graduate from college to support her family. Rya lived with her eldest sister, Rachi, in Panabo City while attending college. Rhea, who owned a business, supported Rya financially and appreciated her help in caring for her niece. Rya's aunt in Sango, Cebu remembered her as a loving girl with no enemies. Initially, Rya studied criminology with dreams of becoming a police officer. However, she later considered shifting to tourism before ultimately deciding to leave her studies altogether to work and contribute to her family's finances. Despite Rhea's initial hesitation about her decision to quit school, Rya's resolve won her sister's approval to start working. Unexpectedly, Rhea traveled alone to Cebu for a job opportunity with her friend, Jewel Smith. She didn't inform her family, who believed she was still in Davao. Rya spent several days at the establishment staff house before relocating to a boarding house in Barangay Luke, Mandaue City, with Smith. Rya had been working in a bar and restaurant in Mandaue City right after arriving in Cebu. Her family was unaware of her whereabouts. It came as a shock when they found out she was in Cebu. Rya called her sister and asked for help booking a ticket to Davao to attend a family christening on July 21st. Rhea surmised that her sister might have opted not to inform them about going to Cebu for fear she would not be allowed to. Rya reassured her family that she was doing fine in Cebu. Tragically, this would be the last reassurance they would receive. On July 16, 2023, multiple sources, including Rya's friend Jewel Smith and a vendor from a local food stall near her boarding house in Barangay Luke, Mandaue City, reported that they last saw Rhea Mae on that fateful day. The police examined CCTV footage from around the area, and weeks after Rya's death, crucial footage surfaced. It shows Rya boarding a yellow motorcycle, leaving her boarding house. The driver was a man in an orange-colored shirt. Investigators are now on the lookout for the motorcycle driver, the last known person to see Rhea alive. They believe that there's a grim possibility that after traveling a few meters, Rya was forcibly transferred to another vehicle by her assailants. The journey of that motorcycle is key. It traveled towards Cebu City via Panganaban Road in Araneta, Maulo, then proceeded to Escario Street. Unfortunately, identifying the driver remains a challenge. His face was obscured by a helmet. But this footage has been handed over to the Regional Anti-Cybercrime Unit for enhancement. In the initial phase of the investigation, the police had grim suspicions. They thought Rya's face had been burnt with hot water or acid. Further examination revealed hematomas on her wrists and legs and a stab wound on her side. The autopsy concluded that the cause of death was strangulation. As for her face, it wasn't burnt. It was the effect of decomposition. Significant developments occurred on July 27, 2023, 10 days after Rya was last seen alive. Rya's missing smartphone finally surfaced. A man handed it over to the Labangan police station, claiming he had bought it from another man near Carbon Public Market. When he checked the device, he found photos of Rhea, recognizing her as the victim found inside an abandoned box in Barangay Tisa. He immediately reported it to the authorities. This discovery happened just 2 days after he purchased the phone. Fortunately, CCTV footage near Carbon Market captured the man who sold Rya's mobile phone. He was wearing an orange-colored t-shirt, a detail that connected him to the initial investigation. This man had now been tagged as a person of interest in the case. His image, believed to hold vital information about the 19-year-old Rhea, was released by the Cebu City Police Station. According to the police, the unidentified suspect first tried to unlock Rya's phone but failed. Unable to bypass the security, he opted to sell it for 1,700 pesos. The police are urging the public to help identify and locate this person of interest as part of their ongoing investigation. They are still searching for the motorcycle driver that Rhea boarded on July 16th, the same day she was last seen alive. On July 29th, out of pure coincidence, officers from the Guadalupe police station arrested Simeon Gabutero Jr., a 22-year-old construction worker, for the illegal possession of a firearm in Guadalupe, Cebu City. Soon after, Police recognized Gabutero as the man in the picture released by the Cebu City Police Office, previously tagged as a person of interest in the Tocmo case. Gabutero, however, insisted on his innocence, claiming he was not the killer of the 19-year-old. In an interview with CDN Digital, Gabutero maintained that he did not know the victim. Upon his arrest, though, he admitted to selling Rya's cell phone. Gabutero claimed he was merely following the instructions of his neighbor, who lived in the same neighborhood in Guadalupe. Gabutero stated that Gabison had given him Rya's cell phone on July 16th, instructing him to unlock or sell it. He managed to sell the phone for 1,700 pesos, handing the money to Gabison, who gave him 500 pesos as promised. Gabutero asserted that he had no idea the phone belonged to a possible murder victim, and that Gabison had instructed him to keep the ownership of the phone a secret. When Gabutero realized the police were searching for him, he chose not to turn himself in out of fear of being implicated in the crime. During his confession, Gabutero revealed a disturbing detail. He had seen Gabison allegedly arguing and attempting to strangle the victim. He witnessed this altercation near an elementary school in Barangay Guadalupe, Cebu City, a day before Rya's body was found stuffed inside a carton and dumped by the roadside. One of Rya's closest friends. On August 7th, a visibly distressed Jewel Smith went to the Cebu City Police Station to clear her name. Smith asserted her innocence, stating she had not left her boarding house in Barangay Alang-Alang, Mandaue City, since clocking out from her job at a bar at As Fortuna on July 16th. Last July 17th, I was just in Alang-Alang. My neighbors could testify to that. I really don't like going out, Smith declared. She also denied being on B. Rodriguez Street or in Barangay Labangan on July 17th. Smith stood by her previous statements that the last time she saw Rhea Mae was on July 16th. Since the taxi driver's interview, Jewel and her family have been subjected to hate, prejudice, and baseless accusations on social media. Her photos circulated online without her permission, compounding her distress. In response to these developments, the police urged individuals with information about the case to come forward directly to them, rather than turning to social media. Smith is also considering filing charges against the taxi driver for spreading lies and causing undue stress to her and her family. When Rhea Mae did not return to her boarding house the next day, Smith filed a missing persons report, which was then referred to the police. As the police continue to investigate, they have taken into account both the taxi driver's and Smith's statements. However, they remained focused on Gabutero and Gavison as their primary suspects, ruling out Smith and acknowledging her cooperation with their inquiries. On August 10th, Simon Gabutero Jr., a construction worker, finally confessed to being the perpetrator. Police Colonel Reno Dagoboy of the Cebu City Police Office announced in a press conference that murder charges would be filed against Gabutero. This confession came after DNA test results showed samples under Rhea's fingernails matched Gabutero's DNA. Gabutero admitted to killing Rhea Mae when she visited his boarding house in Barangay Guadalupe early on the morning of July 16th. He claimed that Rhea, whom he had met through Facebook, was his girlfriend. They had been in a long-distance relationship since December 5th of the previous year, but had never met in person until that day. On July 16th, they agreed to meet for the first time at Gabutero's boarding house around 6:00 a.m. Gabutero said he became enraged when he discovered that Rhea had made multiple Facebook accounts and received messages from other men. His jealousy and anger boiled over, especially considering the money he had been sending her from his meager earnings. Gabutero, who earned 400 pesos daily as a construction worker, had been sending money to Rhea since they became a couple. His frustration grew when he found drug paraphernalia in Rhea's bag, feeling that his hard-earned money was being misused. However, to Gabutero, when he confronted Rhea, she laughed at his outburst, which further infuriated him. In a fit of rage, he squeezed her neck. Rhea did not scream but only held onto his hand in an attempt to resist. Jewel Smith, Rhea's friend, mentioned that Rya had been drinking before the incident, which could explain her inability to fully resist the attack. Gabutero also expressed anger that Rya had not informed him of her arrival in Cebu. After realizing she was dead, he wrapped her in a blanket, tied her up with pieces of garter and shoestring, and placed her inside a cardboard box. With the help of another person, he transported her body on his motorcycle and dumped it in an overgrown area in Barangay Tisa. Gabutero denied burning Rya's face, a detail the medico-legal officer explained could have resulted from decomposition, as she had been dead for over 24 hours. On August 14th, the police presented the evidence recovered to Rya's relatives, proving that Simon Gabutero was behind the killing. This evidence included a black jacket Gabutero wore, the red helmet, and white jacket worn by his younger brother when he disposed of Rya's body, as well as Gabutero's bag and the shirt he wore when he sold Rya's cell phone. In a sworn statement, Simon's younger brother recounted their journey. They were headed to Sitio Moan, carrying a cardboard box that Simon claimed held clothes. Little did the boy know he was partaking in the disposal of a body, which was found the following morning on the roadside of Sitio Moan. The evidence began to stack up. CCTV footage, witness statements, and forensic evidence all pointed in one direction, towards Simon Gabutero. Police Major Angelito Valsar, the chief of the Labangan police station, confirmed that the recordings matched the timeline and actions described by Simon's brother. The chilling truth was becoming undeniable. The wheels of justice began to turn. Cebu City Police Office Director Colonel Reno Dagawoy announced that the murder case against Simon Gabutero would proceed once all the necessary documents were in order. The victim's father, Romeo, expressed his gratitude towards the police for their swift action in solving his daughter's murder. For Rhea Mae's family, the pain was unbearable. Her sister, Rock Timo, Paul Bacon, and Grace Timo, initially filled with disbelief and sorrow, were eventually convinced of Gabutero's guilt. This conviction came after reviewing the evidence and hearing explanations. Their trust in the system brought a semblance of closure, though the wound of loss would never truly heal. Further sealing Gabutero's fate was a neighbor's affidavit. The neighbor had seen Simon on July 17th with several nail scratches on his arm. This observation aligned perfectly with the findings of the PNP forensic unit. They theorized that Rhea, in a desperate struggle for her life, had clawed at her attacker, leaving behind crucial DNA evidence under her fingernails. Tests confirmed that this DNA matched Gabutero's. On September 1, 2023, from his detention cell at the Labangan police station, Simon Gabutero reiterated his confession. Speaking directly to reporters, he said, "I killed Rhea Mae Tocmo. I was not forced to admit it." A woman known only by the alias Bianca Lee took to social media and a radio show on August 31st, accusing Rhea Mae's friend, Jules Smith, of being involved in her killing. But Gabutero stood firm, stating he had never met Smith, and these allegations were baseless. This once again prompted Police Major Angelito Valsar to address the public directly. He urged anyone with genuine evidence to come forward through proper channels rather than spreading unverified claims online. Major Valsar's appeal was clear. Justice can only be served through the correct legal processes, not through the court of public opinion. Meanwhile, lawyer Rule Bano, station manager of radio station DWHP, offered a reward of 100,000 pesos for any substantial evidence Bianca Lee claimed to have. However, no such evidence has surfaced, leading many to question the veracity of her statements. Gabutero's steadfast admission faced skepticism, with some alleging he was coerced to protect more influential figures. Major Valsar countered these claims, emphasizing the transparency and integrity of the investigation. Representatives from the Commission on Human Rights were present throughout, ensuring no force was used during Gabutero's confession. The legal machinery continued to move forward. On August 18, 2023, Murder charges were officially filed against Simon Cabutero and his 15-year-old brother, who had admitted to aiding in disposing of the box containing Rhea Mae's body. Despite the younger brother's lack of knowledge about the box's contents, his involvement in the disposal led to the charges. Major Valsar expressed confidence in the strength of the case against the Cabutero brothers. He asserted that even if Simon attempted to retract his confession, the overwhelming evidence gathered would uphold the charges. Amidst this firestorm of speculation and social discussion, we must remember it is a young woman who wanted to support her family and who had a full life ahead of her who lost her life. The case of Rhea Tocmo stands as a testament to the dedication of the law enforcement officials who, despite heavy criticism, doubt, and controversy, worked tirelessly to seek the truth.